Hi everybody and welcome to Get Indie Gaming for our review and first impressions video of Forgotton Anne, a game released this past May 15th onto the PC, PlayStation 4 and the Xbox. The footage taken in this video comes from the PlayStation 4, and for full disclosure, we were gifted this review copy by the publisher, Square Enix Collective. So with that duly covered, is Forgotton Anne something we think you should pick up? Let's take a closer look. Forgotton Anne is the first release from the Danish studio Through the Line Games, and let us begin by addressing the first of its wow factors. It's stunning to look at. As the press material supplied with the review copy suggests, there are indeed many a time while playing that you feel you're part of a tangible animated adventure, with this in evidence from almost the start where Anne looks out over the horizon from an elevated view where the unfolding footage of destruction and chaos could easily be from an animated movie from a top-tier studio. Visually, Forgotton Anne, with everyone and everything being depicted as having been hand-drawn, is an utter triumph. The use of colours and shadows is something we've already touched upon in an earlier preview video. The work here is undoubtedly influenced by the Studio Ghibli back catalogue, with its colour palette, in particular with the use of the greens and the blues that enhance some of the more morose aspects of the overall world building. To summarise, it's all very, very pretty. Accompanying these top-notch visuals comes a thoroughly well-performed voice acting that adds a fine depth into the characters you come across during your journey. At times while playing we remarked how odd it felt to develop a sense of empathy with an animated sock or bedside table, and yet that's precisely the feeling the team behind Forgotton Anne have been able to achieve. As perhaps could be expected, the standout performance in this game comes from Anne, acted by Rachel Messer, who performed flawlessly throughout. While rather lovely to look at and listen to, what about the gameplay? At its core, Forgotton Anne is a puzzle platformer, whereas, no doubt you already know this, but you play as Anne, one of the only two humans within a fantasy realm parallel to ours, where everyday lost objects, from missing lamps to socks, known as forgetlings, come to life and are forced to work within a factory creating and generating an energy called anima while helping to build a bridge back to the real world. Known to the forgotlings as Madame Enforcer, you have the ability via wrist-based device to distill away a forgotling's anima, making you something of a cop, judge and executioner all at once. In one of the earlier scenes you find yourselves confronting a possible rebel forgotling that may or may not have been involved in committing sabotage, having been responsible for a devastating explosion in the town she looks after. Having found the rebel hiding in a closet, you're forced to make a decision. Do you let this sentient scarf go, or use your powers to dispatch it from the world? Such decisions are usually made of binary dialogue choices, good Anne, bad Anne, although we found the outcome of taking one route over another wasn't easy to deduce until some time after your decision had been taken. As for the platforming section, well, at times they felt a little bit strained. Anne feeling slightly sluggish and responsive was a surprise. The jumping sections we found particularly troubling, although in keeping with the overall cinematic approach, the game does away with the concept of death that's usually a key factor within these type of titles. The team have said death was in early iterations of Forgotton Anne, although the feature was removed as they found restarting from certain checkpoints was detrimental to the overall flow of the story and the immersion they were looking to achieve. As well as the platforming sections, there are puzzles to solve that usually involve you using your wrist device to manipulate generators to restore power. These can be deceptively difficult, potentially made harder by their sparseness, meaning you don't get too much time to learn how best to go about solving them. To us, and looking at other reviews, there are many that disagree, although we thought as a whole when you separate the story from the gameplay, the latter doesn't fit particularly hand in hand with the former, with it lacking that special spark of interest. The other glaring issue we keep mulling over comes towards the end, where a scene that feels completely shoehorned into the narrative, although otherwise if you focus on the story, the graphics and the visuals, it's one of the most distinctive games we're likely to see all year. And with that, we're out of time for our first impressions and review video for Forgotton Anne. Will you be picking this up, or have you already done so? Please let us know in the usual sections. While you're here, it would be wonderful if you could click on that thumbs up button, and if you're new to the channel, why not subscribe to stay up to date with everything indie gaming. Many thanks for watching, and hope to see you all here again soon for more videos.